If you own a shop, this is the only podcast that's going to tell you the truth.
Welcome to the operator's table. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the operator's table. I'm Mitch. We're here with Myron as well. We hope you guys have had a good week. We are back again for you guys. Before we get into things, Myron, how was your last week? What's new?
You know, I feel like I'm on repeat here because these past few weeks have just been nonstop, man. It's, again, we're in that peak time, and I'm exhausted. I feel like I'm working 24/7 again, especially now that I'm kind of knee deep into one of my other companies right now as we're starting to open our brick and mortar store for that company. And so it's getting pretty hectic.
Yeah, a lot going on.
Yeah.
Same with me. I mean, I got my stuff going on the weekends with the other business I have, and yeah, it's hard to find time, right, for other things. I somehow had time in the last week to my daughter's taking ice skating lessons, which I don't really know why she is. I could just help her out myself, but it's fine, less for me to do. And then my son, who's only a year and a half, he went to a swimming lesson, a free class for swimming lessons. Also, don't really know if it's worth it. He's at the lake every weekend, but maybe it is worth it. Yeah, just trying to make time for everything, staying busy.
Yeah.
I also bought an elliptical.
Oh.
It was a used elliptical. I just wanted to see if it's because I have a knee issue, so I was trying to see if my knee's gonna be okay on it. It should be. It's way better than running for me. I can't really run.
Yeah.
Not supposed to.
Yeah.
For a long period. So I got an elliptical. Just a cheap one, just to see how my knee feels, and I was on it for 25 minutes, and the entire thing just broke in half. The entire the one foot pad just flew off, and I look and I see the bolt and I see the hole that came out of it. Okay, it's simple enough. I stick the thing back in, drill the bolt back in, no problem. Go for another 10 minutes, same thing happens, falls right out. The bolt was threaded in and it just flew right off. So that's fun. I learned my lesson to not buy used stuff.
Yep.
So.
That's probably why they sold it.
I don't know. I mean, it's really good condition. It was hardly used, they said, but it truly did look like it wasn't beat up at all.
Yeah.
I don't know how the bolt would just not. Anyway. Yeah, so,
Waste of money.
a waste of money. It wasn't. It was $50. It wasn't anything crazy. Which should be a red flag because it's a $500 elliptical. That's usually what they go for, $400 or $500.
Yeah.
So, anyway. Yeah, what are we talking about today?
Yeah, so on the last episode, we talked about work-life balance, which I think for most owners is a struggle to have work-life balance, especially when you're starting out.
Yep.
But it's something that you do at some point need to start managing, otherwise you're going to get yourself burned out.
Yep.
You're going to burn out your employees if you're pushing them too much. So work-life balance is not only great for the owner, but it's great for the employees, especially if you want to keep them long-term. And so now on this episode, we're going to talk about, how to make your life easier and everybody else's life easier at work by keeping your team organized and on the same page and make sure everybody stays aligned and knows what the goals are every day, day in, day out. And so we're going to talk about, meetings and huddles and when you should do them, how often you should do them. All that good stuff. So that's what
they benefit us a lot. That's kind of the two main things, right? Is the huddles that we have every morning and our team meetings every week.
Yes.
And by doing those two, it keeps the team on the same page with updates, daily updates and business updates and every update you can imagine from top to bottom. So, yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, so let's talk about morning huddles. So I don't really care how big your team is, whether you have one person, 2 people, 3 people, you should have a morning huddle. As an owner or as a manager, you need to get with that one person or those 10 people or however many people it is and go over the day's agenda and just line out kind of what to expect for the day. If there's any big wins, if there's any issues you need to talk about and hammer out in front of everybody for that day or whatever it is, that's what you do, and you do that every morning. So when we do hours right at 7:30 on the dot, and that's also how we know when somebody's late. So 7:30 on the dot, and if right at 7:30, the manager is already talking and they're in the morning huddle doing their thing. So if somebody comes in the door, they're already late. They're already missing stuff in the huddle. That's whenever we do disciplinary actions for being late. Doesn't matter if it's 30 seconds late, a minute late, 5 minutes late, whatever. You're late at that point. If you're missing any part of that huddle, you're late. So it's very important for everybody to be there at 7:30. That's when it starts, and that's essentially when we align our day. So if you want to kind of go over what we do in the huddle.
So we have all the three managers in that huddle. I'm in there as well. In my position, I'm not really saying much unless I need to chime in if there's any kind of issue that I have an answer to. It's mainly Jay talking and Nick talking, our sales manager and our shop manager. And it's really, the morning huddle is a 3-minute meeting. Maybe it could be 5 if there's things to bring up and updates to give. But generally, it's a pretty quick thing. Jay will go over any updates to the business if there is any. If we're having an event, we'll go over details of our event. If we, are hosting an event or if we're sponsoring an event, for example. If we're getting, lunch served for a holiday, he'll go over what we're eating, what time the food's getting here. Just so it's an easy way to update everyone all at once without having to, go person by person and find them throughout the day in the shop. This way, everything gets,
everybody hears the same message.
Everybody hears the same message, and if people have questions, which can, some questions on these events or these updates help others as well because they may have the same question. We just kind of hammer it all out there.
I don't care what anybody says. If you have, like for us, we have 10 people in the shop.
Yeah.
Or, if you're trying to tell the entire team, it could
we have like 14 in there.
Yeah, it could be 14 to 15 people. Yeah. And if you have one message and you're individually going person to person, your message is going to slightly change every person that you go to, and every person's going to hear something slightly different, and that's how shit gets confused and misstrued.
On top of it, also taking you much longer to go around to each individual person.
Yes.
The huddles are good for a lot of reasons. Like you mentioned, attendance, right? It's really easy for us, and that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm just standing there and I'm like waiting. I'm looking around the circle because we all get in a big circle. We just find an empty spot in the shop to do it. You don't need any, it's just an empty spot in the shop. And the sales team is in there as well, listening to any of the updates. After Jay goes over his store updates, if there are any, the sales guys usually go back up front. They don't need to be there to listen to what Nick has to say for the shop because that's just solely meant for the shop guys as far as the work they're doing for the day.
Yeah, so essentially the whole team is together in the beginning. So if there's any employee-wide, everybody needs to know kind of information. It happens right there.
Yeah.
If there's any sales information, that's what Jay goes over, like big wins or anything. And then that's essentially it. Then, they break away.
Yep.
And they go do their own little huddle where Jay just talks to them as a sales team.
With any specific updates that they may have.
Yeah, because they're not going to waste the shop team's time with that information, right? So,
just like we're not wasting their time with the shop team.
With the shop team, exactly.
And then, Jay gets with the other sales guys, and they have their own little huddle up front. Also, they need to be present because our doors open at 7:30. So we usually just, we have one door that leads from the front desk into the shop, and we just leave that door open. So if the customers do walk in that 3 minutes we're in that huddle, we can attend to them, which happens, right? People show up right at 7:30.
We actually open at 8, but we open our doors at 7:30 because people show up early all the time.
We tell people to show up at 7:30 though because we'd rather get that work in. So once we're done with our morning stuff in the shop, we're ready to go. So we encourage people to try to bring it as early as they can. But Nick and his section of the shop, it's pretty important too because he's managing 9 people in the shop, and everybody needs to be on the same page here. And this is such a key piece to like a successful shop being ran is making sure everyone understands what the goals are for the day. And there's no easier way to do it again than telling everyone all at once. So he'll go over in pretty much in that circle. He'll go to each individual person, or not go, but he'll speak to each individual person, and he will. He'll tell them, okay, you're starting your day. You got this coming in, this vehicle coming in. This is what you're doing. And he'll go around to every person. Now, everyone knows how their day starts. So he'll also mention, hey, these 2 vehicles need to be done today. They're picking up tonight. That's the expectation from the customer. So I will let you know, Myron, at noon if you need to jump in and, work with him on this to get it done on time, depending on how the job goes. Yeah. So it's just a really good opportunity for him to get on the same page with everyone in the shop. And I also stick around for that because if I hear, again, in my position, I'm also managing Nick and seeing what he's going over and how he delivers the message. And if I think that maybe he needs to make an adjustment on on the, how he went about that huddle, I'll talk to him after the huddle, be like, hey, you just gave these two guys this car, but I think we should put one other person on this car, for example, for this reason. So I'm there to kind of just back him up and
yeah. I mean, Nick is still a fairly new shop manager, so he's still learning, the best efficiencies and the best guys to throw on what. So, and you're helping him with that.
Yeah, I would say at this point, I mean, I would say he's 90% there as far as understanding employees and how they work and the pace and the difficulty level of certain cars and what they can handle. But yes, there's some things in there that for sure I give my 2 cents, and then he takes it. He takes that and uses it, and it ends up working out.
And listen, guys, I know that. I mean, if you're in the automotive world, you understand. Crap happens constantly in our industry where things change. Something didn't go right. A customer wants to change something. Oh, you've seen something on the paint of this car, so now you have to wait for a response, and now you have to stop on that job and start on something else, right? Plans and curveballs get thrown at you all day long, and you have to change your plans. And so it's like, you have a morning huddle, and a couple hours later, what you said in the morning huddle might not even be relevant, just depending on how many curveballs get thrown at you. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't have a morning huddle. You always
it's so useful.
It's not just about how your day's going to go in the shop for cars, but it's just about everything: store updates, training, issues that we've heard that need to be fixed, or whatever it is. It's still very necessary, and I mean, plans change all the time, but you still have to get your guys on the right foot first thing in the morning, and it really sets the tone for the day. It's like, okay, this is what we got going on. Let's get to it.
You know what else it does? It also unifies your team a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I've worked in shops where you don't have a morning huddle. Everyone kind of comes in when they're supposed to. Everyone kind of goes to their own corner of the shop to work on their cars, and no one really talks. It's good that people get to work, but it's nice when you have everyone huddle up in a circle. And you kind of joke around for a minute or two. You say good morning or whatever, and you talk for a few minutes. It kind of just gets everyone on the same page.
Yeah.
You feel more united, more like a team when you're together every morning for just a few minutes. I could see it benefiting the guys.
Yeah.
I think it's a big help. You know what else is good for? I keep adding to things that it's good for. But I'm also in there. Let's say I'm in there for. If we have to take not extreme measure, if I have to take something that is an issue in the shop and take it to the next level, that's when I'll kind of jump in. Let's say we had an issue with, overspray from an interior door panel on a window tint job, and it's been happening. It happened once. We talked to the guy, make sure it doesn't happen again. Cool, but let's say it's happened a few times in a week, and we notice a pattern. Starting to build up here. Why are we missing these things? Why are we not cleaning up after ourselves or protecting the door panel correctly? And then when I feel like it's getting to a point where, okay, we need to nip this in the butt now, I will then use that morning huddle, kind of from a higher level of authority to kind of be like, hey, what is going on here?
Yes.
Right. And I'll bring up hey, listen, I know Nick spoke to you guys individually, whoever this concerns about this particular issue, but it's still happening, and I'm gonna make it make it clear to everyone now that we need to pay extra attention to this specific thing.
Yeah.
And it kind of lets everyone know, okay, everyone hears it. This is what's going on. We need to be on the right track. So it's just another opportunity to kind of go over any issues that we have within the shop itself. There's so many good things to morning huddles. For the people that don't have morning huddles and think maybe we sound stupid talking about this, just try it. Do it for a period of time, but you have to do it correctly, and then I think you'll realize that people actually prefer it.
Out of any meeting that any shop does, the morning huddle is the most crucial one. If you don't do any meetings whatsoever, just do a huddle at least. At the very minimum, do a huddle.
Yeah, and we don't really do an end of day huddle. I've actually worked in a shop where they have done sort of an end of day huddle. It's not it wasn't a structured huddle. It was more hey, let's get together real quick. It's almost time to leave. Good job today, this and that. It's more of a good job thing. Good work today, or going into tomorrow, we're going to have this. The problem with that is I don't like doing I don't think it's a good idea to do an end of day huddle where you mention that, okay, we're going to go into tomorrow by doing this, because things can change between 6 p.m. that evening and 7:30 a.m. the next morning. We have customers leave us messages in the morning, early morning, and things change. Hey, I can't bring my car till noon now. Or, hey, I have to reschedule. The car hasn't showed up, hasn't delivered.
Yeah.
You can get messages in the middle of the night. And then, these people are expecting one thing in the morning, but you told them something different the night before. So
Yep.
I think the morning is the best time to do it because
Yeah.
it's the most updated status of everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think morning is always the most crucial thing. It's just because, I don't know, it's just, you really want to get started on a good foot and
Yes.
get everybody kind of like pumped up and going and, hey, this is what's going on, no
Yeah.
confusion. Otherwise, people are going to start to wander in the morning and not really like know what they're doing, or they're going to have an excuse they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we just had a huddle. You know exactly what you're doing, get to work.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly. No,
You know.
it's really good. It's really good to have. You also cover, who knows? I mean, there's so many things. Hey, the internet's going to go out at noon for an hour because internet companies coming to fix something or whatever. It's like, just
Yeah.
be aware, cut all your film before noon. Like you will lose things. You will forget to do things when you have to go individually to each person.
Yes.
Yes, the huddle maybe everything you say in the huddle doesn't pertain to every single person in that huddle.
Yeah.
But it's nice for other employees to also hear other things that are going on just to be on the same page.
Yeah.
And it's not anything private. There's no like private conversations there. If there's a serious talk to have with someone, you don't do that in the huddle. This is just a general.
If you
general
really
updates.
have some like jackassery going on in your shop, and you have like one particular person who's like consistently doing something wrong, or consistently like talking too much or slacking off or whatever it is, and you've talked to this person individually, like privately several times, or he's been getting write-ups or whatever it is, and he's still not learning. You could even use a morning huddle as kind of like a I don't know what you would really call it, just kind of like point the guy out in front of everybody. And just kind of like almost, I mean, it's kind of like embarrassing him, essentially.
Yeah, and you can approach it differently because you're going to have some pushback on that. It just depends on your team and your management style. Even if it's not directly aimed at someone. Now, if you want to do it directly, by all means.
Yeah,
I'm
you
not-
don't
I'm
have to
not
name
gonna-
the person's name, but you just say, you have one person who's causing an issue, and everybody in the shop knows.
Sure.
So when you bring that issue up, everybody knows who you're talking about.
Yeah, and I don't even say one. Like if I'm doing it, I'm not saying one person. I'm saying, hey, we have an issue of this happening.
Yeah.
In the shop.
And that's what I'm
By
saying.
default, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm not saying, drag the guy to the middle of the room there and fucking everybody point fingers at him.
Just look at him while you talk.
But, it's like, everybody knows, and as soon as you start talking about it, everybody's already like, oh, yeah, it's that guy.
Yeah.
Fucking, But, anyway, so that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's to get everyone on the same page and sets the tone for the day, like you said. Anyway, let's move on from that. So, the other thing we do, right? We have the morning huddles we spoke about. We also have weekly meetings.
Yeah,
Two different weekly meetings. Well, three. Well, two main ones.
Yeah, so let me start this out here. So, yeah, we had the morning huddles. Most crucial thing. Absolutely do that at the minimum. Now, weekly meetings. This can really vary based on like how your team structure is at your shop. For us, we have 3 meetings, but one of those meetings isn't like what everybody else would have. We have Clearview, which is our sister company to White Glove Auto. So we have a Clearview meeting, which
That's a little different, I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna set that aside.
Yeah.
We have 2 meetings that are just for the automotive side of things for White Glove Auto, and one of those is a manager meeting. This is just where if you have managers in your shop, it doesn't matter if it's one manager or multiple managers like we have.
Does not. No.
You have to be in a private room, have a conversation, make sure that your managers are on the same page as you as an owner, and that you're hammering out any issues that are happening, because your managers are the ones dealing with all the issues and putting out fires all day essentially. And so they're now going to come to you in this meeting, and you need to listen to all the frustrations,
Yes.
all the things that's going on, anything that needs to be fixed. That needs to happen there, so you as an owner are aware of what's going on. Or if you need to jump in and fix something, you can. But this is essentially that time, because as an owner, and depending on, again, how big you are as a shop or how many things you got going on as an owner, you have to have time management. And so if you have good time management, you have these meetings, because this is where you allow everybody to come to you with all the problems. You have dedicated time for this meeting for all the issues to hit you at once, and you handle it the best way you can. Versus, everybody coming to you, hey, you got a minute? Hey, you got a second to talk? Hey, can I talk to you for a minute?
No.
Hey, you got a minute after work? It's like, no. I was like, get rid of all the got a minutes and just make it one meeting. and have all the conversations brought up then. Now, don't get me wrong. If there's a burning fire,
That's what I was gonna
where
mention,
the
yeah.
business is burning down or whatever, something you're going to slow down making money or whatever it is, that can be brought up to you at any time. But all the other little things that are just more of an inconvenience versus like a burning fire, that needs to wait till a meeting.
I think that's the key. Is your manager meetings can be successful if you can split if you know how to separate the two. There's concerns that have to be held that have to be fixed immediately. That's a burning fire, right? Like you mentioned, I don't know. I don't know if we really spoke about burning fires on this channel, but a burning fire is essentially something that came up that is directly stopping business from flowing
Yes.
in one way or the other.
Yes.
Whether it's the internet's down, we can't make phone calls as a company. That's a burning fire. We need to get it fixed.
A plotter went down.
A plotter went down. Maybe an employee just had to leave a family emergency, and now we need to somehow get work done. Like, we need to come up with a plan on how to get stuff done.
Basically,
there could be so many things.
If it's stopping or slowing down production of your facility from making money and getting work done on time, that's a burning fire. You got to handle that immediately.
Yes, and those things don't wait for manager meetings because you can't wait a week or can't wait a couple of days till the next meeting to resolve that. So you have to be able to. Your management needs to understand what the difference is. And burning fires get addressed immediately. Everything else, like you said, get addressed in a manager meeting.
Yeah.
For our manager meeting, it's essentially you're in there, I'm in there, and the two, the shop and the sales manager, Jay and Nick. So, the way I see a manager meeting, also, yes, the managers bring up concerns of employees. They bring up other concerns in the shop or on the sales team that need to be talked about. But it's also there's like two steps to these meetings. The morning huddles address the shop team and anything the shop team may be doing wrong, for example. The manager meetings is a step up now. Now we're addressing if the managers are doing something wrong as well, right? So the managers will, do their thing and control the shop and the sales team as they need to. And then the manager meetings, if I or you notice something that we feel they're doing wrong, that's our time to address the managers now.
Yes.
And it's private. It's not with anyone else in the sales team or shop team. It's done in private with the managers only.
Yeah.
And that's when we go over, things we see they're doing wrong, what they could do to improve it, or maybe we are asking them, certain questions of why you're doing it this way, what you should be doing. And we kind of cover all our bases there. It also, you kind of briefly mentioned it, but we also ask the managers about certain employees, really all employees, but we really try to dive in on the employees that we know have had issues recently, maybe a week or two before that, and just to get updates, because we always want to be updated on all our employees to make sure they're on the right track. If they're not on the right track, what do we need to do to get them on track? If we've tried continuously to get them on track and it's not working, now we're having these manager meetings to discuss, okay, is this an employee that we need working with us? Do they fit what we're looking for?
Yeah, that's a big one for me too.
There's a lot.
Especially like when a manager, which, I always bring up the shop manager, but the shop manager has the most employees to deal with. Where the sales manager only in our shop has 2 people to deal with. So we don't really hear it as much from him because he doesn't have as many people to manage. But, for instance, the shop manager has an issue with somebody in the shop. They're doing something wrong repeated times. He's talked to him. He's tried to discipline him multiple times. And he brings it up in a manager meeting. It's like, hey, we're having some big waste issues with X employee in the shop. They're on their phone all the time. There's some sort of distraction happening or whatever it is.
Whatever the case is.
Right? Yeah. And so then as an owner or as a store manager, we're like, okay, well, did you try X? Did you talk to him about this? Did you tell him to stop? And we work through the problem, make sure that the shop manager really did do everything he possibly could to try to, combat the issue. And then usually we'll find that there's different things that we could try. Because in our shop, we always try everything we possibly can to help somebody before we take any sort of drastic measure and get rid of somebody or whatever it is. So we always make sure that we try everything we possibly can to help somebody. And so, we go through everything. And then the next week when we do another manager meeting, I will follow up on that specific person. Be like, okay, how's this person doing? Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? Is it the same? And we'll keep doing that. And after say 3-4 weeks go by and you're still hearing the same issues happening, like, oh, he's not really getting any better. or maybe he got better for a couple days, but then it went back downhill again, then it's like, okay, well, if we've tried everything we need to try, then that's whenever we, as a manager team, figure out what the next move is going to be for the business. And so it's a really good time for you to ensure that you understand what's going on with your team and all the issues that are happening, and that you're keeping, good, like, B players, A players on your team, and you're getting rid of the C players, essentially. And that's what you have to do. You have to always constantly filter those C players out.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, for people who don't maybe have a manager meeting in place, a weekly or monthly, whatever it is, I strongly suggest it, because it gets just like the morning huddle, it gets everyone on the same page.
Yes.
But now just with the management team, so it's a step above daily work.
It's very important to make sure your manager team is on the same page as you are as an owner, or if the store manager is the one running everything, to make sure, because the store manager is going to have usually the same vision as the owner does. At least in this case, that's the way it works. And so it's like you want to make sure that your management team is on the same page as the store manager or as the owner, and make sure that things are flowing, because otherwise, if there's not a clear goal or direction, or your team's not on the same page, then that's when things start to get wander off in different paths, and now you're wondering why this manager is doing this and this other manager is doing something completely different than he's supposed to be doing. It's because you're not bringing everybody back in every single week during a meeting.
Yeah, for us, we're so in sync.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's other shops that are just as in sync as well. I'm curious to hear how they handle that, and how they are in sync. Do they meet on a daily basis, weekly basis? Because you have to meet at some point.
Yeah.
Our shop manager and our shop manager and sales manager are always talking throughout the day. They're always on the same page with jobs. They communicate with one another if there's any issues on vehicles or scheduling issues, whatever it is. So we're always on the same page, and I feel like a lot of that comes from the manager meeting, because we get on the same page in each weekly meeting. It allows them to continue that flow on a daily basis.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with our sales, right? We have sales meetings every week.
Yep.
And a sales meeting works it's interesting because we don't have a shop meeting, a weekly shop meeting, but
that's
we don't really.
Essentially what the morning huddle is in a way.
Kind of.
And if
yes.
there's something you need to point out training wise, that's when you would do it as a whole group.
The sales meeting is a little different.
The sales meeting is definitely different because there's usually more to go over. There's more tactics. There's more practice. There's more, there's things to go over. It's a little bit more tedious.
Well,
I guess I gotta say.
If you had a shop meeting and brought all 10 guys into a room and had a meeting with them weekly, you can't go over any training stuff there, because you have to. That's hands-on vehicles. You can't do that in a room sitting down. It's hands-on,
and then that also doesn't apply to everybody. Right. Because there's many different services in the shop. Yes, everybody does all services, So.
Where a sales meeting, we pull in, it's you in there, I'm in there, Jay's in there, our sales manager, and the 2 sales guys that we have.
Yeah.
So it's 5 of us in a room, and now we're going over customer concerns.
Yep.
We're going over positives and negatives throughout that week.
Yep. What objections we're hearing.
Yeah, different sales tactics and how we're going about our objections, and those guys bring up. I try to ask them what objections they've recently heard the most and how they're dealing with it. Maybe we do some role playing just to kind of. Again, we're just constantly learning and constantly developing our tactics and our how we. Pretty much anything revolving sales, how we greet customers, how we talk to them on the phone, how we take their information. We're just always trying to get better. We're always trying to grow, go over different ideas. Those guys spit ideas back at us of what they think they could try to, what they're trying to do, what they think might work. This is kind of let's get everyone on the same page. How are we handling this? If there's any big customer complaints, we go over those things, how they happened. Just recently we put a new procedure in for checking vehicles in, and what we're going to do to kind of cover ourselves, because we had a few customers point out some imperfections on their vehicle, claiming it, we caused it, and we know we didn't. We looked at the cameras, which, we have cameras covering our whole shop, so we can pretty well identify, okay, we can watch the vehicle in the shop for a week or a few days while it was in there, and we can clearly see there's no damage onto this part of the car.
Yeah.
Yes, we could fight the customer and all those things and say, hey, listen, we got footage. it's so much easier to just put in a procedure in there where you take good pictures of the car or a good video of the car where they check in. And that's kind of what we implemented.
Yeah. So that was
that's part of the meeting, right? That's
exactly
what you learn in a meeting. That's the kind of things you talk about in a meeting. And that's when you plan, okay, we're going to make this change in the meeting. Now everyone's on the same page.
Like in our instance, and we don't do it in every meeting. And I actually strongly suggest that you do it in every meeting if you do have a sales team, is record your calls and pull a couple of recorded calls and play them in front of everybody. And don't just point one person out. Pull like a call from each person and play it in the room. If you have a
good and bad.
Yeah, good and bad. So if you have a really good call where somebody did great and they upsold or whatever, bring it up. Say, hey, this is a perfect example of what we want to see on every call. But then also there's going to be bad calls. Why didn't you follow this portion of the script? Why didn't you ask this? They said this objection, and you just let them win. Why didn't you try to combat that objection?
Yeah, there's always things to go over.
And you go over those calls, and for one, nobody likes listening to themselves. And so it's almost like motivation. Like, I don't want to be brought up in a negative way in the next call and, sound like a retard or whatever, right? And so anyway, it kind of motivates them to want to do better and sound great. And hopefully on the next meeting, they have a call that's played that is a good quality call that, is a good example. And so anyway, that is something I highly suggest you do for your sales team, is to also play those calls, because it definitely holds them accountable. It makes them understand how they sound. And it can really help improve their sales tactics, especially if you point out the exact areas where things went wrong.
Yeah, having these meetings does not allow your sales team to slip and trend downwards, and because they're the most important. I would say they're probably the most important piece of your company. They're how every customer views your company, how they sound on the phone, how professional you are, how you're greeted. Like, they're such a key piece to how your company is viewed, your image of your company.
Yeah.
You can't let those guys slip. You have to make sure you're on top of them.
Yeah.
Like you don't want, because you and I aren't there listening to every single call they're making.
Yeah.
So if we never had sales meetings and we never got updates from them and how they're doing, or if we never had manager meetings to go over how those sales guys are doing, we would be lost. We wouldn't know if one of our sales guys starts slipping and not, addressing customers correctly, not, talking through our script correctly. We would have no idea if we're not having these updated meetings.
Yeah. And then 12 months later, you find out that a salesperson's been telling every customer to go fuck off for the last 12 months.
Yes.
And then you just now find out because you're not proactively listening to calls and doing these meetings. Because, again, if you don't do meetings and keep bringing your team back into focus every single week, they're going to wander off and they're going to start going off on different paths that you're like, how the hell did this even start happening?
Yeah.
So that's definitely why you need to have these weekly meetings.
Yeah. No, it really is important. It also allows, similar to the morning huddles, it allows the sales guys to kind of talk, because, okay, let me step back here. Our sales process, our sales process and the way we pay and the way it's all set up is a very competitive nature, right?
Yes.
The sales guys are essentially fighting for these calls in a way where they get paid based on what they sell. So when a customer calls, they're both there. And, when you have a competitive nature like that, you run into some issues sometimes where, hey, this was my customer. I spoke to him and I was out and you took over. There's some, we're not going to get into the specifics of how it runs because there's too much to go over, but sometimes they butt heads. Yeah. And it's normal. It's going to happen if you have a competitive nature. You have to realize both guys have to realize we're adults here. We'll get it handled. So this meeting is a good time to go over those things too, where it's not just about their sales and how they're doing, but also like, if they have an issue with each other, which we've had a couple of things pop up, nothing major. Again, we have adults that work for us who can fix an issue in an adult manner, but that's the time to go over it.
Yeah.
If those meetings aren't there and they don't get the opportunity to speak out, like, these guys are working next to each
other. And then it
other.
just festers.
Yeah.
And then it creates a toxic environment.
Yes.
And then the next thing you know, you either have somebody who's spreading toxic bullshit around your whole shop, or you have to now fire somebody who was a good person, but you allowed them to become toxic because you're not handling anything.
Yeah.
And so it's just it's a shitty situation if you're not doing meetings.
That's a really important thing I think you brought up, is that there are good employees who will turn into bad employees if you don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
It'll fester. We have had that happen in the past.
Yes.
That is our fault because we've still had these meetings in the past. But you learn as you go. And, White Glove Auto has definitely lost some good employees. In the last, let's say, even since I've been there, call it almost 6 years, there's probably a couple of guys who I say regret. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, if you could have done something about it to change something there, if you had more meetings or gone over specific things in meetings, you could have stopped them from leaving or you from firing them. And, again, good employees turn bad if you let these things slip.
Yeah.
And, we learn from it. And yes, there's probably companies out there that have lost employees or are having trouble hiring new people, wondering, hey, why can I ever get a good employee? Why can I ever get someone who's going to stick long term?
Yeah.
These meetings help with that.
Yes.
If you approach it correctly.
Yes.
It takes it. You eliminate all the bullshit. You get out in front of it. You resolve it, and you move on. And then you keep your employees happy because it's important to keep your employees.
You wonder how we manage, and again, this counts myself. You wonder how we manage 19 people, and we're working on a 20th person, and you wonder how we keep everybody in line, and how we can manage that every day for years. That is through meetings. We have to have these meetings to make sure everybody stays in the same path. But yeah, like you said, is that we've learned a lot over the years, and we have lost good people over some stupid things that we could have potentially saved.
Yeah.
But we learn, and that's a part of growing. And it's never going to stop. There's always going to be things that you learn. You're going to lose people because you're always constantly learning and just trying to grow and be better as a company. And any company's going to go through that, especially if you're trying to go for growth. So, and that's definitely a good thing to bring up.
Yeah, I also think that with the way we operate and the way we do our meetings, it's very similar to like a corporate company. I mean, if you have a corporation or a corporate company that has 3,000 employees, it's no different. I mean, how do they manage that? They have different departments with different heads of each department, and those people have managers and those people have employees, and they have their own meetings. It's kind of like we're like we try to work very similar to how they do it.
That's exactly
We're
right.
just at a size of a business right now where you can't have like one general meeting for everyone.
You have to understand that it doesn't matter how small scale you are. You have to look at the companies that are successful, that are big, and see what they're doing and realize that if you want to be big and successful and make money, that you got to do these same things. Well, it's like a big, massive corporation is doing meetings all the time. So maybe I should probably do meetings.
Yeah,
But you also got to make sure you can't just have a meeting that's pointless. You got to make sure that everything's worthwhile and everything's actually like meaningful. You're not just gonna be like, oh, let's have a meeting for an hour, and then you guys just bullshit for an hour. That's not productive. And it's not going to get you nowhere. But
yeah, and there's probably a lot of smaller companies who maybe have only 5 employees and maybe one manager to manage them, and you think, okay, this is silly to sit down with one manager and talk.
Yeah, and it's not.
That's where it starts. You have 5 employees right now and one manager right now.
You're creating the culture right there.
Yes.
So now you bring another person in. Everybody else is already used to doing that. And now that other person is going to fall in line just like everybody else is. And you're creating a culture. So as you grow, that's just the normal.
Same thing with managers. You bring another manager on board.
If you wait until you have 6 or 7 people and then you try to implement something, it's going to be a lot harder. Because now everybody's so used to doing it one way. And it's going to be harder to get them to all fall in line for like a meeting or whatever it is. You need to do it from the beginning.
Yep.
And just do it, stick to it, be consistent.
I mean, we bring in new people all the time. Well, not all the time, but when we do bring in new people, we brought in a few here in the last 6 months. And, on day one, they walk through the door and they see a circle of people in the shop. They're like, oh, I'm just going to slide right in. It's just, if it's normal, right? Yeah. It's normal for them. They're looking around like, oh, everyone's doing it. This is a daily thing. Okay, I'm going to jump right in. It doesn't feel weird when you have, like you said, when you have a process, when you have something that you do every morning. These new people walk in and they feel they feel like they're walking into something that's structured.
Yeah.
And they feel better about it too.
Yes.
I still remember when I first became a shop manager, I remember the first manager meeting. And you were like, okay, hey, Mitch, welcome to the manager meeting. And we kind of got right into it. Like, I already instantly understood, okay, boom, manager meeting. Here's what we're going to talk about. And after the first couple of meetings, you get in a routine because you have a routine.
Yeah.
It allows new people coming into that circle, whichever meeting it is, to fall in line into that routine of, okay, this is what we do.
Yeah.
And we've changed, our manager meetings have changed a lot in, 3, 4, 5 years.
Yes.
And they will continue to change.
Yep.
As new things come up and new procedures come up, or we find maybe something that works, better or different, whatever it is, we'll adapt and we make these changes. But there's subtle changes because there's no big change to have with a meeting when you already have your baseline set.
Yeah.
Now it's just tweaking it. The important thing is getting that started, getting people
I'll tell
used
you
to
another
having
thing that's really important, and that is consistency. Because you can have these meetings, but if you're not consistent with it, nobody's going to take it seriously.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, in our shop, there's weeks where we have to skip a meeting. But we're not skipping meetings for 2 weeks or 3 weeks in a row. It's like, okay, we missed 1 week, and then we'll get into the next week just fine. Or if you have the time in your schedule, then just go ahead and do it the next day or later in the week or whatever. But usually for us, we're very busy. We have Monday as our meeting days, and I'll get into this here in a minute. And if we miss Monday, it's not happening the rest of the week. We're too busy. Got things going on. If we miss Monday, that's it. And so consistency, because again, if you're having a meeting 1 week and then you have it the next week and then you have it 3 weeks later and then you have it the next week again and then you wait 4 weeks and it's just like nobody ever like really knows what the schedule is. You're just kind of like making a meeting whenever you feel like it's convenient or maybe only when there's a burning fire.
No.
Everybody's going to hate that. That's just dumb. You got to do it every week, period. If
on a schedule.
Yeah, on a schedule. And if you miss a week, okay, that's fine. But get back into the next week. Do not miss 2 weeks in a row.
And I'll tell you, even when we do miss a week, we try to make it up later in the week if we could. But you know how it is. Now it's not on a schedule. Now it's like, okay, we'll try it tomorrow this time. And then tomorrow something comes up because it's not scheduled.
Yeah.
Really hard to make it up. But when we miss one meeting, I notice it's really not good because then you have 2 weeks of information to go over.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not burning fires, but it would have been nice to know about this the week before.
Yeah.
There's something that, not a big thing, but something that may be irritating someone for some reason. It's nice to not have to wait 2 weeks to go over those things. So you really don't want to miss meetings.
No,
keep
you don't.
it on a schedule. Try to follow that schedule the best you can.
Yes. And so the way the schedule goes, at least for us, one, we already mentioned this, the morning huddles. It's 7:30 every morning. The way that I originally designed it was that we open at 8, and everybody has to be clocked in, ready to go by 7:30, 30 minutes before we open. Yep. That way we can do a morning huddle, and then we can do like morning tasks or get things done that we need to do as a shop to make sure everything's maintained. And then we're ready to go for the day at 8 when cars start coming into the shop and everybody's ready to go. Everything's, all their bottles are filled with chemicals, their carts are clean, trash is taken out, whatever it is, right? Yep. And so it's every day, 30 minutes before opening. And that's never changed. It's been that way for, I don't even know how many years, many, many, many years now. And then I have made it mainly for me because, when I go into a week, like Monday's the start of the week, I just want to get everything out of the way. And it's also, I think, in my opinion, better to get it out of the way early in the week versus at the end of the week. And then you sit on it over the weekend and you forget, versus doing it on Monday and implementing it immediately and every day of the week for the rest of the week, and then it's more of like a routine. You don't have to like take a break for 2 days and then try to implement it on a Monday. Right. And so I always do meetings on Monday. And so like for us, we have a Clearview meeting like we mentioned earlier. So we do a Clearview meeting at 12:30, and that's 30 minutes. And then at 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock is the manager meeting. And then at 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock is the sales meeting. And then after that, I know for my week, all my meetings are done, all my burning fires, all my issues. I know about them right now. I am caught up, and I can figure out, if I need to add into my schedule, like to fix anything, or if I am like, basically free to do whatever for the rest of the week and not have to mess with any burning fires, whatever it is, right? Essentially for me, I like to do everything on Monday because now I know that all the most important stuff that manages my team is out of the way. It's done. And now the rest of my week, I know that, I am got like a free schedule, more open up. I don't have to wait for anything. It's already out of the way.
Yeah. Yeah, there's, we talk about these different levels of meetings, right? You have your
Yeah.
huddle, which addresses all employees. Then you have your manager meetings and your sales meetings that address those specific things. But, it's not really a meeting, but then like one step above that, you and I talk every day.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not really a set meeting. So maybe that's not something worth going over, but it still is a level of communication though.
Yeah.
Right. It's like 3 levels here of like communication throughout the week.
Yeah.
Or, on a daily basis where we
Yes.
go over a couple of things too. We go over, numbers of a business, or maybe we need to order materials, or we need to strategically plan something that's not involving the day-to-day
Yeah.
more than just the day-to-day as far as business related stuff. So
Yeah.
we really go over like,
like you and I, we keep a constant communication
Yeah.
throughout the week, and that's fine. As an owner, you should always be trying to pull yourself out of the business and reduce how many people you have coming to you.
Right.
And that's kind of what helps you manage your time better as an owner. So you don't have like a million people coming to you, right? And so I have one direct person that talks to me, and every once in a while, maybe if somebody needs to talk to me directly, like Nick, the shop manager, or Jay, the sales manager, they can come talk to me if they need to, but it's pretty rare. Usually, my communication's with Mitch, and that's it. And that's all I really have to worry about. And, Mitch, for the most part, all he has to worry about is 2 managers, unless he needs to talk to a specific individual. And so it's like, as you grow, you have to manage your time better, and you manage your time better by also making sure your chain of command is built correctly.
right. Yeah. We can't, I don't think it's possible. I guess we like you and I could have like a weekly meeting, but that doesn't really help with anything because we're kind of going over issues, like daily things, not really issues, but it could be issues, but it's more business related things. Yeah. And those things are daily. They come up daily.
Listen, as you grow and you get bigger, you can have a meeting every day.
Sure.
There's still going to be things that happen every day outside of the meetings that you have to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's just as you grow, issues compile. The more people you add onto your team, the more things that are going to add up, and it's going to start to become overwhelming, and you got to figure out how to manage that. And that's why you and I are on a consistent talking basis, because there's always things that pop up.
Yeah, but it's a different level of like, it's not the day-to-day that's going on. That's handled in the other meetings. This is more like whatever you talk about.
It's still higher level stuff. Yeah.
It's just payroll, or if you're going to be looking at, potentially getting rid of an employee or giving a raise to an employee, or whatever comes up
exactly
that needs to be talked about. So there's really 3 levels of communication through meetings or through communication.
Yeah.
What else do you got to bring up? I think we pretty much covered everything as far as how White Glove stays on the same page.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it, guys.
Yeah.
Weekly meetings and morning huddles.
Yeah.
I strongly advise it. No matter how big your team is, you have to do it. And you have to, as an owner, make sure that your team is on the same page as you are. And that way everybody's going towards the same goal and knows what the path is every single day. And nobody ever wanders off that path.
Yeah.
We
spoke about structure, right?
Yeah.
In multiple episodes, we've talked about how important it is to have a solid foundation, a solid structure. The meetings are just one of those blocks.
Not only that, but it's a culture,
right? Yeah, it's both. Yeah. So, but it's again, implement those meetings, and it'll help your structure stand taller and more rigid.
Yeah.
And
you can build a great foundation and have a great building, a great business. But if all the people inside are shitty people and a bad culture, that it's not a building you want to be in.
Yeah.
Good
way to put it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, guys, that's really the gist of this episode. We really want to hear from you guys. So let's hear some of your input. What do you guys do? Do you guys do meetings? Do you guys do multiple huddles? Let us know. Let's talk about it. I want to see what other people do. 100%. And, I really want to hear from you guys. So reach out to us through any of our socials or email us at theoperatorstable@gmail.com. Please share this video with at least one other shop owner that may get some use out of this video. Oh, yeah. But for now, that's another show in the books.
We appreciate you guys watching another episode. We will see you next week as usual. And remember, if it's not working, it's probably you. Go have a good week. We'll see you guys.